The prodigal. While the son was still a long far way off, his father saw him and felt sorry for his son. So the father ran to him and hugged him and kissed him. Luke 15:20. Why were they always at each other's throats? Bill felt as if he hardly knew his son any longer. Josh was demanding the money his mother had left him when he died. That money was for college expenses, and Josh could only have it after he turned 18. Now he was 18, and he wanted it, but not for college. "It's mine, isn't it?" he had shouted. "Of course it's yours," his father had replied, "but it's college money, not play money." "I'm not going to play, Dad. I'm just going away." "Where? For what?" "I don't know. I just want to get out." And so the arguments had gone on for weeks. It was only this morning that Bill had made his decision. Long before the sun came up, he went into Josh's room and sat beside the bed. He didn't know what time Josh had come in that night before, but the smell of beer suggested it hadn't been early. Josh hadn't even undressed. He was sleeping in his jeans. The father stared at his son's face for a long time. Years ago, when he would come in from business trips, he would pull up a chair beside the bed of his sleeping boy. He'd push back the mop of hair from Josh's forehead and touch the soft cheeks. Everything seemed so simple then. The biggest challenge was airing up a bicycle tire or catching a fly ball. Now the boy's earring, the weird haircut, that tattoo, it was as if his son lived in a different world, a world the father could not understand, but feared. "We lost something, Josh," he said to his sleeping son. "Maybe we never had it. Maybe we buried it with your mom." Bill's hand was again on the forehead of his son. By the time Josh awoke, Bill knew what he had to do. "I'll give you the money," he had told Josh at breakfast. "Get your things. I'll take you to the airport." Now, as they waited for the plane, Josh interrupted his thoughts. "Dad, they're boarding." The two walked to the gate and stopped. "I guess I've got everything," Josh said quietly as he turned to his father. What Josh saw next, he'd never seen before and never expected. Tears. Though the father blinked and turned away as if to look out the window, Josh saw them. Josh plopped on the floor beside the bucket. He looked at the clock on the wall. 3 a.m. He was so tired. He'd cleaned the kitchen, washed the bathrooms, done several loads of laundry, and now he was mopping the bunk rooms. He reached to take a cigarette out of his shirt pocket, only to find the pocket empty. When you don't have money, you don't have cigarettes. With his back against the wall and his arms resting on his knees, he looked into the semi-darkness of the bunk room. Though he couldn't see their faces, he could hear their snoring. A room full of drifters and drunks. Some were running away, some were coming back, but all were dreaming of a better place. All were longing for home. Of all the places Josh thought he would end up living, a Salvation Army bunkhouse wasn't one of them. When he had arrived in the city 3 months ago, he was cocky and rich. The only thing he flashed more than his money was his grin. He bought a car, he rented an apartment, got new clothes. He had more friends than he could count. Then came the call from the bank. He was out of money. That night, a restaurant refused his credit card. He couldn't make the payments on the car. The dealer took it back. He sold his stereo. He pawned his jewelry. Someone stole his backpack and his wallet. Every day, the circle of friends got smaller. Finally, he couldn't pay the rent. They kicked him out. Josh spent the next weeks on the street. The same street where he had turned heads with his style. He now turned heads because of his stink. That's when he heard about the shelter where you could sleep in exchange for 10 hours of work. Hard to believe I've been in this place for a month, Josh said to himself as he sat on the floor. A month of dishes and trash cans and cleaning up vomit of people too drunk to make it to the bathroom. For just a moment he allowed his thoughts to drift homeward. Memories of a warm bed, good meals, conversations on the porch. He thought of the farm. He thought of his father's workmen coming in at the end of the week to collect their pay. Those guys have it better than I do, he sighed. Even the guy who cuts Dad's grass has a good meal and a home. Funny, just a few months ago, home was a prison with too many rules, a cage holding a bird who wanted to be free. But now, Josh was longing for home. He stood and took a few steps into the bunk room he was about to clean. Suddenly he saw his face in the mirror. It looked different. He pushed back his hair and stared at his reflection. He saw something he'd never seen before. He saw his dad. He'd been told he looked like his father, but he couldn't see it. Tonight he did. Same chin, same nose. Dad. In his mind, he saw his dad again. In the airport, his dad's words hadn't come, but his tears had. And the tears had said more than any words could have. Josh stood straight up and spoke aloud. So loud that the guy in the nearest bunk rolled over. Josh didn't care. I'm going home. He put down the mop in the bucket and walked out into the night. Hank sips the coffee in the styrofoam cup and sets it back on the dash. This is his favorite time of day, early morning, just as the gray sky gives way to gold. Like most truck drivers, he drives at night. But unlike other drivers, Hank likes to stay on the road a few hours in the morning. Every sunrise is a miracle, he'd tell them as he would leave the truck stop. Who wants to miss a miracle? In his 30 years on the road, Hank had seen many sunrises, most of them alone. This morning, however, he is about to have company. As he turns his truck onto the highway, he sees a hitchhiker, a young man in jeans and a tattered shirt. Hank doesn't often pick up riders, but something about the boy catches his eye. He pulls his rig over to the side of the road. In his side mirror, he can see the boy running toward him. Hank leans over and opens the passenger side. Thanks for stopping. Hitchhiker is nearly out of breath. Going far? At least another 2 hours south. That's all I need. The young man climbs into the truck. Where are you headed? Hank inquires. Home. Been gone long? When the boy turns to answer, Hank hears sorrow in his voice. Too long, sir. Too long. My name's Hank. Josh is mine, responds the boy. Hank looks at Josh's dirty clothes and weary eyes. Looks like you could get a good night's sleep and a meal. Yeah, I've kind of hit hard times. Before you know it, Josh finds himself telling his story. When he finishes, he looks up into Hank's eyes, which are warm with compassion. So you finally got so hungry you decided to go home. Josh pauses a moment before he answers. No, it wasn't that. I mean, I could have handled the job. Might have even gotten on my feet. Then what made you decide to go home, Josh? The thought of what I did to my dad. I broke his heart. I need to tell him I'm sorry. Are you going to stay home? I don't know, Hank. I'm going to see if I might get work nearby. But I don't think Dad will want me under the same roof. Whoa, he says suddenly. This is where I get off. Hank doesn't slow down. No need, son. I'll take you right to your door. Hank guides the semi down the exit and onto the small road. Following Josh's instructions, he weaves in and out of the farms and flatlands. Hank notices that Josh isn't saying much. The boy is staring at the floor of the truck. His hands are clenched between his knees. The seasoned driver places his hand on the boy's shoulder. Josh is going to be. What if he doesn't even let me in the gate? Josh interrupts. What if he doesn't let me tell what happened? Josh, I'm a dad. I know how dads feel. You gotta tell your dad the truth. Give him a chance to forgive you. Josh looks over at the driver and then watches his dad's fields come into view. We're almost there. When they reach the house, Hank pulls the rig over to the side of the narrow road and stops. I'll wait here, he smiles. Just tell him the truth, Josh. Josh nods, takes a breath, and opens the door. Thanks for the ride and thanks for the advice. Hank watches as the tall boy walks slowly down the path toward the house. Hank can tell that Josh is talking as he walks. He's rehearsing what he's going to say. He's only halfway to the house when at the top of the trail a figure appears. Though Hank has never seen him, he knows in an instant it's Josh's dad. Only a dad would do what this man is doing. Running, running fast. Arms spread wide and a smile no one can miss. For a few moments, Hank doesn't speak. He just memorizes the scene of the morning sun rising behind the dejected boy and the running dad. Finally, Hank can stand it no longer. Josh, he yells, look! When Josh sees his dad only feet away and getting closer, he falls to his knees and tries to speak. But once again, the words won't come. His well-rehearsed speech is forgotten as he throws his arms around his dad's waist. Hank wipes away tears of his own as he starts his truck. He has seen what he came to see. He has seen the miracle of the morning.